legacy, a message for eternity, for everyone internally. I had some people burning me, but now they fucking learn to see I ain't the one to fuck with. Now they looking nervously, and I don't really care what you think of me respectfully. You can kick rocks if you think you're fucking better, see. I will outwork you, turn you to an enemy. Hurt you so bad that you're gonna need some therapy. I got the motherfucking recipe. I've been cooking up hits, I'ma leave a legacy. You'll be looking small when you're standing right next to me. I'm 5'10", bitch, but I'm 10 feet next to me. I don't give a fuck what you say. Yeah, I'ma do shit my way. So you can go kick rocks, I'ma stack bricks up, build what I want to make. Cause I don't give a fuck what you say. Yeah, I'ma do shit my way. So you can go kick rocks, I'ma stack bricks up, build what I want to make. Yeah, I'ma do it my way. Shut your mouth, you can save it. I'm the same dude that got his come up from the basement. 100 songs, 100 weeks, didn't change it. Experiments, development, intelligence, and patience. I'll do it all again, cause I never feel complacent. Let's keep the good vibes, positivity's contagious. I'm never looking back, cause I made a life that's passionate. A college graduate suppressing all his talents, yeah. He found a way to go and change, become an advocate. For taking control of your life, go out and battle. And you think you have a dream, then act on it. Get after it, get out your head and fucking capture it. You got one life to master it. Don't give up on your future. We all start losers. We're all late bloomers. Gotta struggle through the sewer. What you say? Yeah, I'ma do shit my way. So you can go kick rocks, I'ma stack bricks up, build what I want to make. Cause I don't give a fuck what you say. Yeah, I'ma do shit my way. So you can go kick rocks, I'ma stack bricks up, build what I want to make. Yeah, I'ma do it my way.
You know how fast you were going?
What? How fast you were going?
I don't know. 10?
8.
Be advised, this is an explicit podcast. If you're easily offended, get your panties twisted into a knot. Leave now. Run in your safe space. Get your little cloth for your tears. All the opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the host and his guest and do not reflect the opinions of any local or government agency. Welcome, Motorcop Chronicles podcast. I'm your host, Iceman. Over here we have Tom from the Gold Shields podcast. Going gracious with our president. Actually, really first time I'm doing live with another guest there, but he's used to being live and stuff like that. They go on YouTube. So I said, to hell with it, we'll do it live since he agreed to it. So ones that pop up, if I'm not getting blacklisted on YouTube again. I hope I'm not having that same audio issue again.
No, we're good.
Yeah, but coming. Are y'all hearing him okay, Jim? I see you in the thing there. I don't know why I'm having those type of. It did it to me last time. Hello? Say something, Tom.
Oh, I'm right here. I hear you fine.
Yeah. I'm getting Everybody else is Jim ain't saying that. If y'all are in the live, y'all just put a comment and let me know if y'all are hearing like some feedback or something. Because I don't know why. I recorded the other day and it was fine. But anyway, anybody that wants a good cigar, go to mypatriotcigar.com. Use the promo code Motorcop15. You'll get a good cigar. Spend $100 or more, they will give you some free shipping on it. Also, if you want any merchandise, you can go to the website, go to the Etsy store, t-shirts, all that stuff like that. If you want extra episodes, you can go to the Patreon. You can try it 7 days for free. If you don't like it, you can get off of it. I think I got 20 extra episodes up there right now. I just put a 10-minute video up yesterday. That's pretty interesting. But you got to join the $10 one to see that, to see the video. If not, I'm going to keep putting the free stuff out. But Jared Nitrous is a full crew member. We got Mr. John DeMink, Dan Cross with Burley Boards. We have T-Bird. We got Mr. Jim Pocrant, who was in the chat from the Short Track Guys podcast, our race car driving friend. We got our truck driving buddy, Mr. Hoppy Hoppison. We got Blake Walker. We got A.A. Ron from I Had to Say It podcast. I just listened to his episode today. It was really good. He was bitching about all kind of stuff. We have Z Palmer. We have Roy Spalding. That's Roy with the S, not Roy with the P. We got JoJo, our favorite girl from down under. We got Kaylee Norris and Natasha A. from the state of Washington. And our OG crew member, Melissa Holstein. I appreciate y'all helping me pay the bills. And this man right here was a detective in New York City, which, I don't know, it impresses me because you always see the New York stuff. Kind of the NYPD blue thing and all that stuff like that.
Yeah, we've made the rounds.
Just tell us a little of your history and then we'll get it going while I mess with some wires here.
Well, spent 30 years in the NYPD. Started in 1990 when the city was completely out of control to the extent of having about 3,000 homicides, 115,000 robberies, 85,000 rapes. So it was an interesting time to join the NYPD and did the normal thing and was on patrol up in Washington Heights and the west side of Harlem, which at the time was one of the busiest locations in the city. And we were nonstop all the time, every day, every tour. Was a free-for-all and a circus at the time. We were really, really busy. But in the beginning of my career, kind of a little hamstrung with some politics and political things going on, and then was lucky enough to still be up there in 1994 when administrations changed and Bill Bratton and his team got on and allowed us to be cops again and go out and make arrests and start cleaning the city up from what it was. And it was nothing short than a disaster. You didn't have tourism. You didn't have anything going on because of how bad the crime levels were in the city. And then, like I said, Bill came in, changed everything around, allowed us to be cops. We started making arrests again, and had a great time doing that. I was in an anti-crime unit, which in the NYPD is a plainclothes unit responsible for gun runs and robbery and progress calls. Went to narcotics, went to the gang unit where and that started a very long-term relationship, both on and off the job, for many, many years to come. Danny was my boss in two different details in the city, the first one being, like I said, in the gang unit. And then a couple other places, in the 5-2 robbery squad, and then 9/11 happened. And then I spent the last 18 years of my career assigned to the FBI's Joint Terrorism Task Force, which took me around the world to about 16, 17 different countries where I ran terrorism investigations on a pretty high level. And Danny was my boss there again for a couple of years before he retired. And I spent, like I said, 18 years there, and it was an incredible experience doing the work I did and the people that I worked with and were able to work with. I did a stint. I did a 3-month, tour in Afghanistan doing a kidnapping case. So the experience I got there was just, off the chart, mind blowing, and happy I did the time I did and got out in one piece.
No, you see, everybody, he had one of them impressive careers. I wrote the ticket. This, you were there, so you were there when the buildings went down and stuff like that. You were in the city.
When the towers went down, yeah. I was actually off that day, but, obviously heard what was going on, talked to my partner on the phone, went and picked him up right away, and then headed down to the city and spent that day. By the time we got down to ground zero, the towers had collapsed. So we were down there that whole night till about 4 or 5 in the morning. Came home, got changed, got something to eat, and then went right back down there. And was down there the 12th as well. And then things started to get somewhat organized because there were other places that we had to be. We had to have people covering the morgue. We had to have people covering the highways. We had people in Staten Island at the landfill where all the debris and everything from ground zero was being brought to be sift through and look through, and which was just as tough and just as horrible as ground zero was, being out there doing that job. So we were both. Danny was in a different location at the time, a different unit, but I was down there. That was a very rough day.
My heart goes out to you. I couldn't even imagine. I remember, like I said, I remember when it happened. I was at home because I was working a 10 to 6 shift. So I was getting ready for work. I was actually ready for work. I was sitting in the living room. I was watching some TV show. It had to do with doctors and stuff. And all of a sudden that came on TV. And at first I thought it was part of the TV show until I realized it was real. And then it was like, we went to work when every chance they got was in front of the TV set. So I couldn't imagine what y'all went through with all of that stuff. So you've had a somewhat of a colorful career then.
Colorful, yes. Very fortunate, and I say it all the time. I had a very fortunate career in the right place at the right time, and had a great role model growing up with my dad, who was a retired NYPD detective. So learned a lot from him, and just worked with great people. Anyone who's done a lot of work in the NYPD or any department will always tell you, I never did a case by myself. I never solved a case by myself. I never arrested someone by myself. I was happy and lucky enough to have been surrounded by great people, great detectives and other government agencies and their agents who I worked with, and was very fortunate to have some incredible supervisors along my career also, which you need that supervision, you need that leadership to be successful, and I was lucky enough to have that.
Well, y'all, if I'm trying to mess with somebody, they said the people I've seen again hear me down for some reason. So you said y'all always worked in pairs then? You never...
Always, yep. Even from the beginning, you even, at the time in the city, you hardly even walked a footpost by yourself. Or if you did, there was another footpost adjoining yours, because of just what was going on at the time. But we had, partners in our radio cars. And then once you got to a narcotics team or the gang unit, you had a team that you worked with in everything you did, from search warrants to surveillances to investigations. Pretty much the whole team helped out in what you were doing. And that got even broader when, in a unit like JTTF, where you had multitude of people from different agencies, from different departments, helping you out as resources when they were needed.
See, that's when I see that, I'm trying to talk louder for y'all so I can figure it out, people. There's no fans running, so I don't know what y'all hearing, but I always had to work by myself. If we had some people with us, we were lucky. Like I said, even now, I was saying one time when, like right now, someplace when I'm out writing tickets and stuff, if shit goes bad, sometimes, like I said, still today, my backup, if I'm lucky, is 20 minutes away.
Right. That's crazy.
If I'm in another direction, it could be 30 minutes or more.
Yeah. I mean, we always heard that, you know, we were, again, fortunate with the amount of people we had in the NYPD. You know, you called, you know, on our radio in 85 or 1013, you had an army of cops on your back in 30 seconds.
Yeah. So, yeah, I was watching, like I said, I was watching this thing like on, well, I think it was in Miami or something, and it's like something happened, and it's like 20 cops was there within a minute, that many. So, I don't know. Switch mics on y'all, people. We'll see. Let me see which mic that is. Check. Nope. Check. Can y'all hear me now?
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you good.
Yeah, I think it's the live people wasn't hearing me. Can y'all hear me now?
I hear you even louder.
Just trying to get. I don't know why I've been having issues lately. But yeah. So y'all on that way are lucky. You ever had to work with a partner that you didn't like?
Not a direct partner. You know, there were obviously, you know, not everyone's the same. Not everyone gets along. People have different views. When you get into a situation like a task force and you have to deal with so many people depending on the case that you're working on. Do personalities conflict and ideas conflict? Of course. I mean, we're all human beings. We all have a different view of things. But a direct partner, no. I was blessed to have what I considered some of the best partners around. You know, I remember every one of them. I remember their names, you know, when I started working with them. And, you know, my partners were part of the reason I was successful, you know, and safe and coming home at night. You know, they had my back. I had theirs, you know, and that relationship was very strong in any partner that I had.
I know working in New York, you have to see you got to have some crazy, funny shit that happened.
Oh God, every day. You know, you had you had your bad moments. You had, you know, there were a lot of horrible things that went on in the city. Just because of the time frame that I was there, when the city was so out of control. You know, but you had to incorporate the fun times with it, or you went berserk. You know, you went nuts. So you had to have a good time. You had to have some laughs. You had to have some practical jokes, you know, that broke the ice and made the night go by a little easier than just dealing with the violence that we had to deal with. So, yeah, we did. Practical jokes were certainly there. One of my favorites was when you had two somewhat rookies together in a car because we were low and we needed the coverage. So if you had two rookies that were together in a car, the best thing was to find the second set of keys to their radio car. And you waited till they went in a building for a job, a 911 call, and you stole their car. You know, and they came outside and had no idea where their police car was, and they didn't want to call the sergeant. and they didn't want to call for help, so they stood there for a number of minutes before they would ask for someone to come by and so they could talk to someone. And you'd sit on the other side of the street and you'd watch it and you'd laugh. And after a few minutes of them being tortured, you drove up to them and asked what was going on, and they didn't want to tell you. And meanwhile, the car was parked around the corner. So you let them deal with that for a little while, and then you told them where the car was.
I did that to state trooper. He actually works at headquarters now. He's a great guy. I'm gonna get him on one day. But he's not a very tall guy. Put it that way. You know. He's still great about it. He's like, oh, you son of a bitch. He said, I come out in that crash. He said, I turned around and y'all stole my whole car.
Yep.
He left his trunk open one time. He came back and we took everything out of his trunk and stole it. You know. Just.
Yeah, you had to do stuff like that.
But you know what's sad though? Now in this new environment, you got to watch who you joke with like that, because they will freak the hell out and run straight to admin on you.
Oh yeah, stupid. It's not, you know, it's not the same job. It's not the same mentality, you know, whatsoever. I think half the problem with that, and the reason it's that, and Dan and I have discussed this on the show with many guests, that when Dan and I got on the job, Dan got on in the mid 80s, I got on in 1990. When you got on, you had people teaching you that had 10, 15 years on the job just in uniform, you know, and showed you and taught you how to be a cop, you know, when you first started out, and you learned from them. And then when you went and got promoted to detective and went on, you know, that experience and time on the job got even longer and higher. So you learned from them. Today, you have kids coming out of the academy and they're learning how to be a cop from someone with 3 years on the job, who doesn't even know how to be a cop yet. You know, so that whole breakdown of, you know, relationships and stress releases and, you know, all that isn't there anymore. And that's obvious. You can see it, you know, in the job.
Yeah, I was talking not too long ago. The problem is a lot of these kids now, these young ones, these 20-something year olds. Probably you too. When I was in high school, you know, we used to fist fight all the time, and then after we beat each other up, we go have lunch together and stuff.
Right.
Nowadays, though, they have zero tolerance. So you got these younger people coming into law enforcement. They ain't never been punched in the face before.
Right. Absolutely right.
And you're on a bad call. Bad guy punches you in the face. Some of these, they just shut down because they ain't never felt that pain before or nothing like that. They don't know what to do.
Right.
It's like I complain about this younger generation on they're too reliant on the tasers now.
Right. Yeah. See, I think I've said it before. I think the cops, you know, you look at the guys today on patrol, and they have so much gear on them. They look like an operator on SEAL Team 6, you know, with the, you know, setups that they have, where you look back, like when I started, you had a 38 revolver, you had 2 speed loaders, and your handcuffs. That was your belt. That was it. You know, and then later you got your pepper spray, and you put that on your belt, and you might have a loop for your nightstick, which you never carried because it was just in your car. But I think, you know, today there's too many options, whereas back then you got in a fight. That was it. Yeah. You just, you know, you had a fight.
Hands on, spray or shoot. That's one thing.
Right. I mean,
I still,
you know, and no one, and I didn't use I never, ever in 30 years used my mace, pepper spray, OC, whatever we had. I never used it. You know, so that even drew it up more to, you know, just get in a fight. And the problem today in the environment in law enforcement today is they're not even allowing cops to protect themselves. You know, the blowback when a cop gets in a fight now is so sad to see, and what these kids on the street have to go through. You know, cops are allowed to defend themselves. They're allowed. It's part of the law. You're allowed to. And you see these videos of cops getting in fights today, and it's not a fight. You know, all they're doing is hanging on to these guys, hoping they run out of gas, you know, enough to handcuff them. You know, there's not a fight anymore. and that's why cops are getting hurt.
I didn't. Well, I didn't carry a nightstick or a PR-24. I didn't really carry an asshole. When I first started, I carried like one of those like 8 D-cell mag lights.
The mag lights.
Like,
Yep.
I don't know, 3 feet long.
Yep.
And I had my ring for that. I carried that. I had my we started with pepper and ended up going to freeze. 2 pair of handcuffs and my gun. That was what I had. And like I said, we didn't have portable radio, so I didn't even have that on. And some of the guys today, because I guess I'm a little superstitious, they're like, "What's this right there? What is that on your belt?" I said, "That's my flashlight ring." I still wear the same exact flashlight ring I used to slide my big flashlight in.
Sure.
On the first day I've ever been on duty. I still wear it. It's just like I'm like, I can't take it off. I'm like superstitious. It's been there for almost 30 years, so I keep it there.
Absolutely.
And if I change duty belts, I'll move it over to my other duty belt. So
being superstitious and a cop go hand in hand.
So a lot of these younger ones, they don't even know what that. They're like, "What is that?"
Oh yeah,
that was
definitely.
mandatory. I needed that because that flashlight, I could tap you from like halfway across the room with it back in the day. A lot of these kids, I wish I could find it. I got an old slapjack somewhere.
Yep. And all in some instances, all you had to do was hold it. That was it. The power of suggestion back then was pretty strong. All you had to do was hold it. And if you had to make a point, you pointed it at someone, and sometimes that's all that was needed.
Oh yeah. Like I said, I never. Well, I'm taser certified. I'll tell you, I've never tased nobody.
Mm-hmm.
I actually, I don't even wear it on my belt. I got my spray, my chemical weapon. Everybody, I don't even have my taser on my belt. They're like, why ain't there? I said, first thing I said, I'm kind of gained some weight and it kind of digs into my gut. And it's, but I'm like, I don't know. I've never tased one. And they're like, I said, y'all too reliant on it. It's only 40% effective.
Very true.
And if it's wintertime, they got thick clothes on and everything else. I'm like, y'all are too reliant on it. I guess that's what I was telling you earlier. Everybody kept asking me if I wanted to go into the drop program. I'm like, probably not. I feel like, I'm a dinosaur cop compared to what it is today.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I'm one call away from doing my job correctly and being a CNN article.
Sure. Oh, yeah.
How many do we see on TV now? It's like, I'll watch it. I'm sure you watch a lot of it. I'm like, no, that was a clean shoot, or that was a good use of force. He followed, this and that. Next thing you know, they're charging the dude.
Yeah. Yep. But I also think I was always in favor of the body cams. They were way after me, a light year ahead, after me. But I always thought that they were going to do more good than harm, because when you look at the stats, 99% of the cops are good. They're doing a good job. They're doing everything right. And it takes away that question. When it's a good shoot, when it's a good act, and the cameras are showing that now. So I think, the question of right or wrong has diminished since so many departments now in the country have the body cams. And I think it works more in favor of the cops than against them.
Oh, I do too. Department I'm with, both departments are with. My old department, we had car cameras. Because I was on a motorcycle. In the department I'm with now, we don't have body cameras, but I actually have like a set of sunglasses with the camera built into them.
Wow.
I'll actually record myself on my calls. So everybody's like, oh, and I'll let the other guys like, hey, I'm recording. And some of the other guys I work with have bought their own little body camera. Because I'm like, if I'm not doing nothing wrong, I want proof of it. Because
absolutely right.
It ain't nothing for somebody to call in and say, hey, he said this to me, or he said that to me, or he did this. I'm like, oh, no, I didn't. And I actually had a recorded incident a couple years back, and I made an arrest. I made a traffic stop. The girl ended up lying to me, giving the wrong name because she had warrants on her. Well, she lied to all kind of stuff. Once we got to court, she didn't realize I was recording. When she got to court and the ADA busted that video out on her, she just straight up pled out guilty. I mean, it was misdemeanor stuff, but she pled out guilty because she didn't know she was being recorded. And I did look at her. She told me she was pregnant. She's like, I got preeclampsia. I guess she thinks I'm stupid and didn't know you couldn't have that in the first trimester, which she was trying to say. But I looked at her and I said, so, you had that baby? She kind of looked at me. I was like, because she wasn't pregnant.
Right.
At all. She was just lying the whole time. It's like, but I'm with you. I think the cameras are great. Like I said, I think everybody when they first started, it's like, oh, we're gonna catch these cops doing all kind of bad stuff, and then they were like, yeah, it's not working out like that at all.
Well, they realize that's not the case. It's a false narrative that, every cop's going out there doing something wrong and doing something bad, and every shoot is bad, and every shoot is, against policy and all that. And it came to light very quickly that that's not the case.
Well, I'm sure you watched the video recently. I forget which was in Alabama or somewhere where they had the car, a long chase with the 18-wheeler. The deputy let the dog loose. The truck driver finally they spiked the 18-wheeler. They got him stopped. The guy got out. He was standing out with his hands up in there, but he still wasn't doing what they said do.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they like, get on your knees, get down, do this, or we can put the dog out. Well, he didn't follow command, so the deputy put the dog on him. Dude took a really good dog bite. Well, the deputy ended up getting fired because even though in the department says he followed our use of force policy, he should have just still made better decisions. It was a police deputy. And they had some state trooper on the scene that just said, don't release the dog. And I'm like, that state trooper told him no. I said, first of all, he said it to himself, basically, if you hear it on camera. And he don't work for the state police.
Right, exactly. Right, doesn't matter what he says.
But because whatever department he worked for, the aesthetics of it, but he followed policy. But still, I hope they got a union or something out there who will end up getting his job back. But yeah, I mean, it's just, because when I watched it, at first I was like, then I kind of had to sit back and look. I said, no, the totality of it, plus with whatever their policy procedure is and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, old redneck cop ain't completely dumb. No, I got a co-host. We call him Freebird. He was a reserve for like 15 years. He did this shit for free forever. He don't do it anymore. But you know what call he never did get? He never got a naked person call. Do you have a good naked person call?
I don't think so. I'm thinking. I don't think so. I really don't. I don't think I did.
Well, I can't believe New York ain't no like some crackhead just running down the street,
Oh, that we had. That was different. All right.
holding his pecker in his hand, trying to hit people with it or something.
Yeah, people just running around aimlessly out of their mind. That's different. That happened all the time. That was a daily occurrence. And you had your neighborhood ones that you knew, that you would know what job and who was, and who you were going to ride up on, depending on what the street was. You knew who was there.
Now, I know you were a detective. When you were in uniform out there, y'all didn't get to wear y'all uniforms home or nothing. Now y'all had to change at the station.
Yeah. Yep. We had our locker rooms. We had our lockers that everything stayed in. You got changed downstairs, and then went upstairs, had a roll call, and then you went out.
They let you bring your gun home, or you had to lock that up too?
No, they were ours.
Okay. What was the purpose of not letting you wear your uniform home?
Well, because a lot of I think it was somewhat of a safety factor, because if you're going home and you lived in a city, you didn't take your radio home. Your radio stayed.
Your own radio?
Yeah, your radio stayed at the precinct, so you didn't have a radio, and it gets a little hairy if you're walking around in uniform or riding a train in uniform, and you don't have a radio. That could get bad. So no one wore their uniforms home. Everyone got changed in the precincts.
I didn't know you got to have like. I know you don't have take home cars, but I didn't know you didn't have radios that you kept.
Nope, they stayed at the precinct.
No, see, that's just like it's like now I have my own portable. I got my unit plus my motorcycle.
Hmm.
That's
So you got everything.
that's all. Yeah, well, yeah, that's just a sign to me.
Uh huh.
So it's just like I was always curious about that, because a lot of most departments out here that I know of, everybody, most people except for some of the colleges, everybody has take home units.
Okay.
And I live, uh, it's 40 miles from me, one way. I
Okay.
have to do 3 different parishes to get to where I'm going to work at, so I'm not even close. So it saves me on gas, I'll tell you.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's always that's when the cars always helped out. Once we got to the terrorism task force, we had our own cars, and that's somewhat of a raise. Between the tolls and gas and everything else, that was always a big plus when you had that car.
Oh, I imagine. Like I said, I did ride the subway in D.C. I couldn't imagine doing that all day long. I said when I was up there, I said that's where everybody's skinny. When I was up there, I said because the food sucked and you had to walk everywhere.
Hmm. That's right.
Not used to walking everywhere. We drive.
Yep.
Well, if you want to ride your bike to the store here, I mean, the closest store to me is like 2.5 miles away,
Wow.
and that's just like a little, local stop and rob.
All right.
If you actually want to
New,
go to a store, you got a little hike ahead
New York City was 24/7, 365. No matter, you can get a slice of pizza at 3 o'clock in the morning somewhere.
of you. You might get one at the Circle K. That's gas station. That's gas station pizza. Uh, so, have you written any books or just your co-host?
No, I haven't. I've been asked. I've been asked numerous times to, or put one together on a couple of different things that I've done, but I haven't done that yet. Danny wrote a book, really successful book. He should be proud of it about you know uh, workplace safety, workplace violence. Did a great job with it. So he has one under his belt. I haven't done that yet.
I don't think the book's in my future. I'm just. I mean, I was a chemical weapons instructor. I'm a radar lidar instructor, stuff like that. I was a SWAT team leader at one point, stuff like that. But it's just I've never was you know, people like coming to my classes because I'm like, yeah, this is this, and this. Not too much on the PowerPoint stuff and all this stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Oh no, I'm the same way. That's why I keep getting asked to do it, and I would like to. I think one day I will. Uh, I think I will one day. I just haven't gotten there yet.
Oh, since you're retired, uh, you got like a retired badge and commission, and you can still carry concealed and all that stuff like that.
Yeah, we have. Well, in New York, like many other states, we have the HR 218. That we can. You go once a year, you qualify, you get your HR 218 card, which enables you to carry pretty much throughout the United States now. Uh, but we don't get a shield. We don't get a retired shield. We just get a ID card that's stamped retired, uh, and that's about it.
Okay, we, we got to go qualify once a year after you retire, stuff like that.
Hmm.
I was just because I know y'all. Well, New York's got crazy gun laws.
Oh yeah, that change every day.
So I was like, I always seeing watching police videos, and I was like, even like out of Chicago and stuff, and it freaks me out. So I'm like, they're on a traffic stop or something like that, and they're like, gun, and they start pulling people out the car and all stuff. I'm like, why the fuck they freaking out? I'm like, okay, I mean, we're an open carry state, and Here in Louisiana, your car is considered an extension of your home. So you can have a gun anywhere you want in your car, and not have no permit or nothing. The only
Oh,
time
wow.
you gotta have a only thing time you gotta have a permit is to carry it concealed.
Okay.
You can put a gun on your hip just like we do as police officers and walk around in the store with it.
Yeah,
It's
with
just
that we
more-
can't do. Everything has to be concealed in New York.
Yeah, I'm not saying, but nah. But so it's like I assume every vehicle I encounter has a gun in it.
Sure.
So
Mhm.
it's like, so when I see stuff like that, I'm like, okay. So I'll have people all the time. They're like, look, I got my, especially out of state people, and they're like, I got a gun and it's right there in my console. I'm like, okay, appreciate you telling me. Do you need to see it? I was like, is it stolen? They're like, I said, well, I didn't figure, because if it was, you probably wouldn't have told me it was there.
Right.
How about
And
you
you'd
just-
be in a
I
car
said,
chase.
Yeah, it's like, how about you leave your gun where it's at, and I'll leave mine where it's at. We'll be all good, okay? And they're like, okay. I'm like, you're not gonna tell me about a stolen? Yeah, I got this stolen gun in my console. Would you like to run the serial numbers on it, officers? So, yeah, but I do watch that. I'm like, some of those cops would really freak out around here, because it ain't nothing. You don't see it a whole lot, but you might be, at Walmart and see some dude, just Joe Blow, walking around with a hog leg on his side, like from Walking Dead or something.
Yeah, people in New York would freak out over that.
It's like
That would be a problem.
it's like when we got more. It's not. They built a subdivision behind me, so I can't shoot in my backyard no more. But before city people move out here, and we'd get calls, and they'd be like, "We heard gunshots." We're like, "Yeah, it's first day of squirrel season." You're gonna hear it. They're hunting. It's okay. It's all good. Like somebody can walk. You'll see somebody walking down the side of the road in camouflage with a shotgun, and we don't get calls on them.
Interesting.
Well, y'all
Different parts of the country.
You gotta have what? It's really. I hear it's very difficult to even get a concealed carry.
Yeah, it's there's a process to it in each county. I mean, it covers the state, but you can't. New York City has its own rules, which they're fighting. Which got squashed, but they're still fighting their ability to do their own thing. Whereas the rest of the state, it's pretty strict. Certain parameters you have to go through, or background checks you have to go through. Local judges in the areas where you're putting your application in have to sign off on it, and so forth. So it's not takes about anywhere from 8 to 12 months to get in New York.
Wow, really? Here
Yeah.
you have to go. You got to take a gun safety class.
Yeah,
concealed
they have to
carry
do that
class,
too.
and it's usually about 6 to 8 hours, and then after that you just got to usually the instructor will fill the paperwork out. You go to state police, get fingerprinted, and you get your permit, and you pay like
Wow,
$100
it's a lot different. They now with the new rules, you have to go through a 16-hour course to get certified.
Yeah, so I mean, we don't have to deal with no judges and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's New
Like,
York.
Wow. So, you gonna tell us a little about your podcast?
Yeah, thank you for that. Danny and I have a podcast called Gold Shields, and what we do is, yep, right there. What we do is we highlight the incredible work that's done on a daily basis throughout this country by law enforcement, by the military, that you don't hear about. One of our phrases that we say is we give our audience a backstage pass to these high profile cases of information that you don't hear about. We all see the bad guy get put into the back of a car and driven away down to court, but you don't know that detective hasn't slept in 2 days and hasn't seen his wife in a week and, ran around to 3 different states before they caught this guy. So what we do is we get these high profile cases and get the actual people who did it. It's not a third party show. Danny and I don't talk about a case that we heard about, and we don't get someone who had an outside look on it. We get the people who were directly involved and directly did these investigations or missions with the military members that we've had on. Uh, we have a number of authors that were on who wrote books about incredible missions and cases that they did as detectives, as agents. So we highlight the good work that's out there and make sure more people hear about the dedication and what goes into these investigations, as complex as they are, uh, and get that view of it from the people who actually did it.
Yeah, I went and watched some of their stuff on YouTube, and they had a Secret Service agent, and I seen something on what was that? The name just went out of my head. That dude
Jeffrey
that
Dahmer.
ate people, that Dahmer guy.
Jeffrey.
That's
Yep.
so they get
Yep.
them fancy dancy people on there.
Yep. We've been really lucky. Danny and I say it all the time. Where Dan went and his background and his resume and what I did in my career, we met so many people throughout this country and worked with them directly, which leads to meeting more people. That the access that we have to the individuals who did these cases is pretty wide, and we've been very lucky with getting a hold of these individuals to tell their story. And we're also affiliated and involved in these great groups that assist, these officers when, the mental health issue comes up, of being injured or having a mental health problem. Some like, we just talked about it before, Randy Sutton at the Wounded Blue, uh, FHE Health, cops, concerns of police survivors that we also just talked about earlier. Irish Angel and Amanda Coleman. We're involved with so many great groups of people who are out there assisting these men and women in uniform, and we get them on the show. The National Law Enforcement Officers Hall of Fame, in having nominees with getting into the Hall of Fame with great acts of heroism and what they did. So we're our network is pretty big, and we just try to get as many people on as we can to get them highlighted and focused on.
Well, mental health thing is a big deal. I mean, I don't know. I just read a story. I think it was today. I was looking at some stuff. They had I don't remember where it was. I saved it, but they had a cop that I believe killed themselves or right after doing something. I mean, it was.
Oh yeah, that was in New York. There was an officer who was involved in a shooting who protected his life, defended himself, and killed the perp who was trying to kill him, and had a very rough time with living with that. And not too long after that event, took his own life, which is tragic. Which is horrible. There's so many groups out there with the ability to help and the ability to reach out to get someone to talk to and assistance in that area. So much more than there used to be in this, in law enforcement years ago. And you just hope that, these officers who are thinking a certain way or have something on their mind reach out and get the help that they need.
Well, because unfortunately, with the person, if you come into this profession in 20, 30 years, when you get out the profession, trust me, you're not going to be the same person you were when you got in. Not if you actually got out there and did your job.
Absolutely not.
I mean, just this past Friday, an hour and a half before I was supposed to get off, me and the sergeant just dropped off a farm equipment, believe it or not, escorting it. It's harvest time. And they come out with shots fired and somebody in the road. Well, me and him were like 2 minutes out. We get there first. We're the first two people on the scene. There's a man laying in the road face down. Unfortunately, he didn't make it. He took two shotgun, one buckshot and one bird shot, just a couple feet from his chest. It was so close, the wadding was in the wound inside of him. So he didn't
wow.
make it. I mean, it's just stuff you deal with like that. And of course, now the crowd's coming out in the neighborhood. And just
right. Well, like we always said, no one calls the police for a good time, to see something good. You call the police because something bad's going on, and most of the time it's the worst time in somebody's life, that you're showing up to deal with. And it takes a toll, on your life and throughout a career. It certainly does. Some more than others, and some more quickly than others. And people deal with it in different ways. But the assistance is there, and you just hope that these young officers out there understand and reach out when it's needed.
Yeah, when I was they said the cop line right there.
Hmm.
You call them, in law enforcement, and it's answered by retired law enforcement officers, so they kind of got an idea of what you've seen and what you're going through and stuff like that.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
just it's rough. Like I said, Randy's got his stuff. A lot of people got. There's a lot of programs out there for you. You can reach out for
yep,
help if you need it. Because there's a stigma in law enforcement, as we know. If you ask for help, basically, you know, nobody asks for help because
no,
you don't you're gonna get
absolutely not.
pinched,
And that's
lose
what
your
that's
rights.
what I meant before. It's so different than when I got on. Back in the 80s and the night, you didn't dare ask for help because they take your gun, you take your shield, you stick it on your desk, and you're done. And that was the end of your career.
Yep, you had a
Now there's
rubber.
so many avenues out there for that for officers that and they're out there and they're publicized. And again, you just hope they get it and understand that talking to someone is a good thing.
Yeah,
Reaching
exactly. Like
out is a good thing.
the other incident, they just had a officer that him and his wife just had a baby. I don't know what happened. He ended up firing his weapon inside of his house. He did not hurt them, thank goodness. He left the house on a golf cart with two weapons. Of course, she calls. She's worried about him. Other people seen him on the road with the weapon. They called. The other cops show up, and I'm telling you, he knew exactly what he was doing. He took the guns and pointed it in their direction and fired. He didn't shoot nobody, but he knew it was suicide by a cop. He had his
Right.
buddies kill him. So
Yeah.
you know,
Horrible.
because like I said, he knew exactly what he was doing. He knew what was going to happen when he shot in their direction.
Right.
You don't have no choice. So if anybody is out there that listens to law enforcement, if anything comes up, call somebody. I just had recently around here a guy I used to work with ended up got fired. I don't know how many other people did it. I hadn't even seen this dude in years, and I sent him a text message and said, "Hey, this is me, and just letting you know if you need anybody to talk to about anything, let me know."
Mm-hmm.
Because unfortunately, especially with my generation of cop, and I still think it's pretty much the same. Once you quit, leave, get fired, something like that, you a lot of people they're not gonna have anything to do with you.
No.
So I reached out. He said he was fine. So I checked in. Some other people told me he's working somewhere else, doing different type of work and stuff now. So that's good. But I didn't want him sitting at home thinking how he just blew his career up after like 20 something years and you know contemplating bad stuff. So
Yep. Yeah.
pay attention to your partners. You know people you work with. You know how they act.
Right.
If they start acting all kind of weird and different, you might want to check and see why.
Definitely. And you start the conversation. That's a good point. Don't be afraid to start the conversation of, hey, what's the matter? And that'll get it done. You just kickstart it. Get someone to understand that, they're here. Someone's here to talk to you, and make that initial contact with someone.
Yeah, don't think like, oh, we're a bunch of men. I'm too much of a man. No,
Nah,
whatever.
those days are
You ain't
over.
gonna, you ain't gonna have too much happy. You have a close friend of yours or something, off themselves and knowing,
Right.
like, man, why didn't I go talk to him or something like that? I mean, because then you got to live with the regret of what if I would have went and just asked.
That's
So
right. Absolutely. Don't be that guy. Don't be that girl.
no,
The
no,
the what if is worse.
Yes, it is. Well, I'm not going to keep you all day. Anything. I've totally enjoyed it. Y'all go check them out over there at Gold Shields. They're a professional podcast. They don't just y'all know how I am. I lose it every now and then, but no, that they got good content and great guests. So y'all go check them out also. I
Thank you
appreciate it.
so much.
Don't hang
Yeah,
up.
we're on. I appreciate the shout out. We're on all the audio podcast platforms. We're on all of them. We have our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@goldshields. It's our own channel that we started a few weeks ago. We're up to, we have just so many great guests coming up. Just we love to have you join us, be part of our little world, be part of our crew. We welcome everyone. Thank you for bringing that up. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean, they got good content. Like I said, I was watching it before we started. Don't hang up. Don't leave yet. I'm just gonna do the outro and then
Okay.
we'll do it. Everybody, I appreciate y'all listening, watching. I got to figure out what the hell's wrong with my headset now. That bothers me. Remember, we're not sheepdogs. We're lions. And watch your back, watch your partner's back, and everybody be safe. And remember to smile, because Iceman can be behind you. Well, everybody, I'm having issues today for some reason. That outro's not wanting to play. Let me outro on another one. Okay. Anyway, it's not playing. Peace out, people. Y'all be safe.